All right, welcome back everyone to another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is going to be part 2 of the Clan Boss guide that I started, I think, earlier this week. We said we were going to 6-star Apothecary, which we did, and we want to test out the difference between a pure speed team and the Skull Crusher counterattack team. Let's see, let's get right into this because I do have a little bit of something at the end of the video. As you can see, we have 4 ancient shards, not a big deal, but we do have our end of month void and sacred shard, and then another blue shard once we complete the last few dailies. So I want to kind of pump through these, and let's kind of get through this. But so I guess to start off with something that I didn't cover in the last video, and what people were kind of asking me about. I think somebody asked me on YouTube or somewhere else why I don't use Cold Heart in my fight. And so I think the idea is that the boss, in order to maximize your time up, time alive, and B, your damage in the amount of time that you have, you need to have a certain number of access to buffs and debuffs specifically in order to kind of maximize that output. So on the DPS side, you need to be able to put defense down and weaken. So weaken we got with Aethel right here. Probably the best weakener in the game, at least easy to get. There are probably maybe some other more hardy ones, but because she puts it on her 1A, that's also a 3-hit. It's just great, and she weakens for 2 turns with the ability to possibly weaken for 3 turns if you get the debuff extender. So this is just, I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to find a replacement for her. So she's going to be on your team to take up the weakened spot. Then you have defense down, and this is where you can kind of get creative. Tyrell is really good because he has a 100% chance to apply the defense down. So absent the 10 to 15% base resist that they have, since accuracy is not working right now, you get a defense down for 2 to 3 turns. And this guy has attack down at the same time, and we'll get into attack down. So for the amount of damage that you can do, weaken and defense down are going to be your 2 kind of key debuffs, since both HP burn, poison, and Giant Slayer are all reduced by the boss's defense, and we saw that in the last video because it's part of the passive. So if you can break that defense, you'll notice that Giant Slayer without the 2 debuffs procs for like 44,000, and when you get the weaken, it procs for 59,000, and when you get the defense break plus the weaken, the Giant Slayer hits for 77,000. So you're talking about like an 80% increase in damage per Giant Slayer proc, and that's what we're kind of trying to maximize. So the other buff that you kind of want on the DPS side, of course, is the speed buff or counterattack, depending on who you're running. In this case, since I'm running Apothecary, we want this speed buff plus turn meter increase, and that's the idea behind running Apothecary. I'll get into that in just a second. As far as buffs for yourself on the defense side, in order to avoid getting one shot later on in the fight, you want Tyrell's attack down, and combined with what I'm using is Skull Splitter, or Steel, God, I've been calling that guy Skull Splitter forever, Steel Skull's increased defense. So those 2 kind of combined make it so that you can last a few extra full rotations of 3 attacks from the boss once he soft enrages, and maybe once he enrages. I really can't tell because I still have yet to count the number of turns. So right there we have all of in order to get those debuffs and buffs, we have 4 spots completely taken up, and it leaves us with 1 spot, which is basically going to be your pure DPS spot. You want that last spot, which in my case is Juliana, to offer as much possible damage as you can get. And so somebody asked me why I don't use Cold Heart. And so Cold Heart, she does have a 4-hit 1A, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's really good. And I think with the right RNG, she could possibly do more damage than Juliana. Like if she just gets insane Giant Slayer procs throughout the fight, she can do more than Juliana. The thing with Juliana is A, she has a built-in turn meter increase, so she basically goes super quick. So her 2 turns, two attacks, are really more along the lines of, let's see, she gets 20% turn meter. So that's every 5 rounds she goes an extra round. So it's really more like, I want to say like 2.2 to 2.3 hits per, because she's given herself that extra turn meter. Cold Heart doesn't have that built into her kit. And late game, you're not going to use Cold Heart's 3 ability for the enemy max HP, because it just doesn't hit that hard. It hits for like 140,000. And so... if it doesn't crit, it doesn't do a lot of damage, and you can't really build her crit because she's a rare and she's squishy. So Juliana's 1A is really good. It makes her faster, and what it does is it lets her have this uptime on her HP burn 100% of the time. So HP burn on Nightmare mode does 112,000 per tick. So this is, if she lands this, it's like a guaranteed 1.5 Giant Slayer procs per boss turn, per boss attack. And she has a double attack that could place 2 poisons up to 4 turns each poison. So we're talking, these hit for like also I think 65,000 or gosh, maybe even 95,000. I guess we can pay attention in this run. So she has a lot of passive damage kind of built into her kit whenever the boss goes. And Nightmare mode, the boss gets faster and faster, so these things actually tick harder and harder, even though the boss does have increased defense. I would say she does the most damage at Brutal, where you have a really good combo of boss speed plus lower boss defense, to where they can actually hit really hard. I think I think Giant Slayer on Brutal procs for like 90,000 or something like that. So it's really nice. She gives herself crit with her 2 abilities, so you don't need to build her really high crit in order to make use of her 1 ability. And so because she's an epic, she also has higher base stats, which means you might survive like 1 full extra rotation with the boss. Now, I mean, there are some drawbacks. With Lifesteal, having only two hit maximum on her 1A and 2A, maybe you won't proc a Giant Slayer. Maybe she won't heal herself all the way and she'll die the next turn. And that does happen, and you might see it happen in this run that we're going to do right now. The other downside is if she's low late game, you're really gambling if you're trying to stick an HP burn on the boss. Like, it's awesome to stick an HP burn for 4 turns on the boss, but you're only giving yourself a 40% chance to proc a Giant Slayer, and that's really the only way you're going to heal yourself up with Juliana. So there's a good chance that she doesn't heal and goes through the next phase, and the boss just kind of one-shots her. If she's low and the boss's stun attack comes up, he's going to focus her and he's going to kill her. It happened to me on the last round. So yeah, that's kind of my way of thinking about it. I think there are better tunes that you could use for the Juliana DPS spot. First one that comes to mind is Zavia. She'd be a great replacement for Juliana. She has I believe she has a 3-hit 1A, and she puts poisons on her 1A, so she can just do insane damage. I think that Blood Gorged guy is pretty sweet. Netheril is sweet. Let's see. Shit, why am I smacking my lips? That's annoying. Sorry, guys. Lord Shazar could be an option as well, although he doesn't bring the HP burn. He does bring in an enormous amount of just pure damage, and he can make himself immune to the stun. So you can kind of fudge it and make him like really fast and really hard hitting. And even though he'll get targeted with the stun, as long as he doesn't die, he won't actually get stunned, so we won't lose turns. He has a 3-hit 1A that does more damage based on how many debuffs they have, and so this boss usually gets tons of debuffs stacked on him. And so Lord Shazar can be an interesting option. Off the top of my head, I don't really know any others. And like I said, I think Cold Heart is a very valid option, but I think she'll be outclassed towards like late game just because of base stats. Cold Heart can be really squishy. So those are the buffs and debuffs that you kind of want to focus on. And so hopefully that answers people's questions as to why I'm not using Cold Heart and why I feel like my team is so limited. Now, the reason why I switched to Apothecary is because I felt like as I was making as I was grinding for gear, I was looking for faster and faster runes especially on the lifesteal set, on artifacts. But the counter to that is I was using Skull Crusher with the counter ability, and no matter how fast I could get him, increasing the speed of the rest of my team would only hurt the effectiveness of counterattack. And even with the reduced cooldown reflex set on Skull Crusher, there was no way I was going to get to be able to cast the counterattack before the first AoE and before the second AoE. So at best I was looking at, AoE, a counterattack from 4 of my members on 1 AoE. And so I felt like as my speed and gear was getting better, I was getting less and less effectiveness out of Skull Crusher, and I was afraid that my damage was going to be kind of capped at 15 million, 16 million-ish on Nightmare. So that's why we train the Apothecary. And so this is going to be my 3rd test run. I'm not going to tell you guys how my first two runs went. We're just going to check it out and see how it works. Let's get some volume up here, and this is it's a little bit more straightforward too. We just kind of attack and use buffs on cooldown. Let's see. Let's defense break the boss. Early on, we're just looking at pure damage. Okay, I don't want to use that buff because I don't want to use the speed buff up. So here we're just looking at using Apothecary, turn meter increase, and speed, and landing resistance. There we go. There's a good start to this round. And Apothecary with Giant Slayer has a 3-hit 1A, so yes, I will be losing a little bit of damage on each of my other guys. However, Apothecary himself has the potential to put out pretty good numbers, so that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is that this team can do a little bit better. Defense up. And again, I think people were asking me if you can resist the stun, so let's keep an eye on whether if we do ever resist the stun. I'd be really interested to know, because I can swear that I resisted it once or twice. And so you see the defense down is still on the boss, and the defense down is already up again on Tyrell. So we effectively have a chance to just have 100% uptime on the defense down. This is a really good speed increase. No proc on Giant Slayer. Yeah, double proc there. Okay, he targeted Aphel. Aphel did not resist. However, we won't lose a turn due to the fact that my Steel Skull has the ability to cleanse. And so that's always a trade-off. I won't cleanse a Tyrell unless I absolutely need the attack down or the defense break, because I'm just wasting a cooldown and just trading 2 attacks on his 1A for 2 attacks on Steel Skull's 1A. So I'm always kind of keeping in mind how many attacks am I missing out on by using a skill other than my main attack. All right, we landed the HP debuff. Okay, we got double giant slayer proc. Okay, we're back down to 59,000. We have a weekend, but we don't have a defense break. So you can see defense break is incredibly important to be able to keep up as much as you can. It really increases the amount of damage that you guys do. Okay, Steel Skull is full. However, everybody else is pretty low, so let's look at this 10 meter. Stuff on defense. Okay, we landed 2 poisons. That's good. And now let's get his defense break on him. Good, 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 good. Huh, that's interesting. We're only 77,000. Yeah, I guess that's what you hit for. Yeah, that's right. That's what we said in the preview. It was 77,000 with both debuffs on. Okay, here comes the stun. Who's he gonna target? I'm not really paying attention right now, so hopefully he doesn't target somebody important. Okay, he went for Tyrell. That's fine. We have attack down, we have defense break, so I'm not going to cleanse him. I'll just let him stick to the stun. Come on, HP burn. Good, another one. I'm so used to my guys countering. I always get excited when he does that, and now it's so anticlimactic. He hits me and then nothing happens. Ooh, I might have needed to put my defense up there. Let's see if Steel Skull gets to go again before he goes. It's not a huge deal right now. Okay, yeah, look, Steel Skull went again. Alright, that timing worked out. And so I do feel like this team, the faster I make them, the better they'll do. There's no kind of like contradiction. There's no kind of battle of speed versus skill cooldowns, anything like that. It's just pure and simple. The better artifacts I get, especially with the implementation of the 6-star artifacts, we're looking at a significant bump in speed. We're talking about we could have an average team speed of like 250, 260 without even having like super top of the line, quadruple speed substats. So it's a significant speed increase, and I feel like I'll just do more and more damage. So even if I don't do more damage now, my idea was as long as I'm still close, as long as I could still do 39.6 million in 3 attacks, I will stay with this team and just keep farming artifacts, or move on to like farming Spider or something like that until they release the 6-star artifacts. So let's get a default attack down. Good. I'm not super paying attention, but it's fine. We're going to purge Aethel because that's a net +1 attack. Let's get an HP burn. Good. We can use this buff because we only had 1 turn left on our speed buff. So you don't want to use that buff because that might like use up some turns of your buffs that you get from Apothecary. But if you're careful, you can kind of still make use of it, get a little bit of extra oomph out of Aethel's 1A. Here comes some AoE. We need a defense break and an attack down. And a weaken, which we did not get. Okay, we got the attack down. We will defense up. Good. 7 rounds, 7 poison ticks. That's nice. Let's get a weaken right here. Good. Okay, Still not doing too much damage. I think he is now enraged. I wish there was like a graphic. I can't tell. It doesn't look like he's enraged. So let's see if he has like a visual cue when he hits his first enrage. There's a defense break. We're gonna start doing some pretty decent damage. Still targets Aethel. I like it. And so I think the reason he's targeting Aethel is because she's the lead and there's no real other clear targets. So I think if the boss doesn't have like a clear focused target that he should go after if nobody's low, I think he's always going to go for the lead. And of course we use Aethel for lead because it's like a universal HP increase, which is good here. I don't have a Fushan. God, I wish I had a Fushan. I would probably put Fushan in for Juliana just because the speed lead and he can do a lot of damage with his 1A. Let's see. We'll do an attack down because that's the only thing we can do. I don't know why. Sitting there. Come on, let's land another HP burn. No, resist. That's 2 resists. That's a lot of DPS lost. That's probably about 600,000 damage overall lost off of Juliana. Okay, we'll do the defense buff before his AoE on Steel Skull's next turn. I don't want this to be too loud. I hope it's not too loud. I just realized that my hand was kind of cupping the speaker. Okay, defense up. He's attack broken. Good. Let's land it. Good. We got the defense down. Let's land some poisons. Only one. It's a good speed boost. So when I say it's a good speed boost, it means that because you get 30% turn meter increase, I looked at the rest of my team's bar and they weren't full. What I don't like to do is have 4 people sitting at full turn meter and then use that skill, because essentially you're only getting the speed boost out of it as opposed to the turn meter increase and the speed boost. It's a much better skill if your team doesn't have full turn meter. And that's just a matter of RNG. There's really no way to control that because there's so much RNG in the turn meter itself because of masteries. Like when buffs or debuffs fall off, we have like a small percent chance to like get 10% here, 10% there. So, I mean, there's no real way to control it, but it's always nice when you do get like a full-blown 30% turn meter on your whole team. We're up to 11 minutes. I think I'm jibber-jabbering a little bit too much. His stun is up, and I think he's going to target Steel Skull. Ooh! Yeah, don't like it when he does that. So now, essentially, I have to start being careful because he's definitely enraged. And I'll have to start missing out on Apothecary hits in order to heal Steel Skull. Ooh, lots of damage. So now we're absolutely relying on these guys' ability to proc a Giant Slayer in order to heal themselves up. Everybody's on Vamp except for Steel Skull. And so here, okay, so what do we have here going on here? We have, yeah, let's speed increase because Steel Skull can heal Apothecary. Let's land this HP buff. Good, and I got a Giant Slayer. 4 turns, and I healed myself up. That's real nice. Ooh, see, that stun on Steel Skull was real bad because I can't put the defense up anymore. We'll heal him. I don't want him to get stunned again. Ooh, a little bit of aggressiveness, but I did get a 3-turn defense down. Okay, we're gonna have to do this early. I'm not very happy about that, but the problem is everybody's gonna heal up except for Steel Skull because he's the only one not on Vamp, and then he'll end up getting targeted again by the stun. So I'm definitely having to toss a few attacks down the drain in order to keep him alive. And at one point I need to just kind of make the sacrifice. Either him or Apothecary need to go. But this is because this is a new kind of team build for me. I really don't know 100% how to maximize when and where I decide to let a guy die. Let's go. Attack down is more important at this stage. Okay, here's the stun. Who's he gonna target? Oh no, this is the AoE. We've already gone through the stun. I need to heal my Apothecary. Okay. We'll put the defense up for the big AoE for Dark Nova. I like it. This feels like a decent run other than the fact that Aethel doesn't want to proc Giant Slayer. Let's put another HP burn on, and he resisted. Starting to hit pretty hard. We got a sweet little counter from Aethel's defensive masteries there. And so at this point, you'll notice I'm pretty much precluded from being able to use Apothecary to put the speed buff on unless I guarantee myself that I'm going to get another turn. Because if I use the speed buff, there's a good chance Apothecary won't be able to heal himself through Giant Slayer. Well, he won't because he doesn't use it, and he'll end up dying. So this is where you're just making trade-offs now. Can you survive a few turns extra in order to get a Giant Slayer off or two later on? And that was a good one. We need an attack down from Senor Tyrell. We're not going to get it. Ooh, Aethel almost did it. She's back up to full. Oh, we need that attack down. We need it. If we don't get it, we're going to get one shot next round. And Tyrell won't go. I think we're... Ooh, can I bump Tyrell past the ball? Yes! Alright, I'll go again. Let's defense up here. And attack down. Good, we got it. Alright, we're safe for now. So that right there is Aethel's defensive masteries. The way I thought about why I put her on defensive masteries was I don't really cast her buffs that often, so she's not going to get turn meter from her buffs falling off. And her 1A keeps reapplying the weaken, so I figured the weaken's never going to fall off, and so I wouldn't get any turn meter there. So what I decided to do was just go down the defensive line and take the mastery that basically whenever somebody gets stunned on your team, you have a 20% chance to counterattack, and whenever you take 25% of your life in one hit, you have a 50% chance to counterattack. And so basically I'm just getting like free counters from that tree line. From that mastery line, sorry, and so I kind of like the way that's working out. Other tunes benefit so much more from like the support line, but Aethel seems to do really good with the defensive line. Let's heal him. We have attack down, one turn. Let's try the defense breaking. Good. And let's get one more HP burn. 4 turns, come on. 3, okay, that'll work. I don't think we're going to live for 3 more attacks. So now Steel Skull's going to die in the next AoE because I'm not going to heal him. Ooh, no. So now this is kind of interesting. The boss is about to go. It's going to be an AoE. I can heal with Apothecary, but then Juliana might die. I can heal Juliana. I don't think I can get Juliana to go before the boss. Let's see. So this is all like kind of guessing games. If I give her 30% turn meter, can she go before the boss and have another chance to... No, because that's pretty much dooming Apothecary to die. I think we're going to have to sacrifice both Steel Skull and Apothecary this turn. Let's see. Oh, it was wow. I wish I'd paid attention. It was the stun, and it wasn't the AoE. Okay, at least I gave myself some speed increase before everybody died. Before he died. Let's do that. Some defense. They are low. Come on, Giant Slayer. Got one. Good. I still don't think it's enough. Come on, Giant Slayer. Heal. Heal. Okay, Steel Skull dies. And no attack down, so that should be the end of the game. Oh no, the stun is up, so he's only going to kill one person, and I got an HP burn off, so that's always nice. So now we'll actually use this buff, give ourselves... What? Why didn't it give us defense? That's broken. If we're under 50%, it should have given us an increased defense, but it didn't, so... Oh well. Come on, heal. Good. Full HP. So we should be able to survive enough for Juliana's HP burn to do all of its damage, which is nice. So I would consider this a good run. We'll see. We'll see how much we get. I'm not sure. And that's it. Oh no, don't even tell me. Come on. Oh, I forgot to turn my Wi-Fi on. Why is there some... Whoa! Whoa! That is definitely a personal best. Why is something casting on my phone? I also don't know. Oh, maybe it's not casting. I have no idea why I have the cast icon. But anyway, wow, 21.4 million. That is, we got 4 mil out of Steel Skull, over 7 mil on Juliana, and over almost 5 mil on Aethel. Yeah, we definitely got some Giant Slayer RNG there. That is a good result. So I hope this kind of clears it up. I don't know definitively whether at endgame Skull Crusher can't be, better. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. Maybe you can pair him with another counterattacker, like, I don't know, maybe another counterattacker comes in, and then you would have counterattack on, on every AoE, and you can really maximize it. However, at this point right now, I feel like speed is better, and speed and counterattack don't necessarily go hand in hand, at least with the champions that I have currently. And so thanks guys for kind of bearing with me on this one. I'm glad this worked out so definitively. The last two runs I did 15.2 and 16.04, which is kind of what I'd been getting with Skull Crusher. So I wasn't angry, I wasn't sad. I'm glad that I 6-starred Apothecary, and so I was kind of set on progressing in this direction anyway. But it's really nice to see the fruits kind of paying off early, rather than having to wait for the 6-star runes. So now let's take a screenshot because we're going to post that on our Discord, and let's